This is Cheryl Manley from Sharing Love of Paper. I'm so glad you could join me for another card making class today. How do you start when you're deciding on a project? A lot of times I choose the paper, then decide what I'll do with that. However, for today's projects, I'm starting with Notes and Totes. It's a stamp set and a separate die set, though as usual I packaged them with my stamps. This is such a fun die set. It makes a little tote bag with all sorts of stuff to decorate it, like a little water bottle, lotion, little tag, little pocket, 2 different types of handles. And it has a starfish and a shell. So many fun little things to play with. This is a pair of heart-shaped glasses, could be sunglasses. Today's projects come entirely because of this set, especially the dies. I think the easiest way for me when I'm starting with a new set like this is just to take all the dies, and there is one more here on the back. This one cuts several pieces that makes a fence. Anyway, I first cut all of the dies from white cardstock. Then I can ink them whatever color I want and use the stamps to decorate them as I choose. So that's what I'm doing with this first set of pieces. Let me just get all my pieces here. Where's my little baggie? Oh, here it is. This is the way the tote bag comes. When you first cut it out, it comes with this piece attached. It's a real important piece for some types of makes, and I'll show one of those later in the video. I chose to just cut this piece off because when I turned it up, I had this little piece sticking out. You could just as easily, and perhaps it would have been better, if I had just folded that piece in before folding it up. Then you would have had 3 points to glue instead of just the sides as I plan to do this time, though I suppose I can put a little bit of glue at the bottom if I want. Anyway, here is the basis of my tote. What I did to color this was to fold this narrow strip back and then take my blending tool with ink. I used Gorgeous Grape for some, but Highland Heather for most of it. I applied ink lightly in a circular motion using this foam tool. You could easily use a sponge dauber. I went over it, adding a bit more color until I was happy with it. It highlights the score lines and the stitching line from the die. Then for this hibiscus, I used one of the stamps from the set. Here are the fence pieces. I just took a little bit of ink, applying it the same way. I applied more at the bottom and a little at the sides. For these I used, what was it? Oh yes, crumb cake ink. For my little magazine, I used Lost Lagoon ink with black for the stamped message at the top. I figure I might write a little personal note here when I decide who this will be going to. It can fit just here like that. And then I have these other pieces. I have a choice of 2 different handles, and then I have some other pieces I can use. This would go across the bottom. These would go down the sides, one for each side. I haven't decided what I'll use yet. They have quite a lot of options for decorating. Let's see, where are my other pieces? Maybe I won't have as many pieces as I thought. Okay, here's 2 little fun decorative pieces. And there should be 2 of these, but I'm not seeing the other one right now. Oh, here it is. So these are just decorative pieces that I can use on the bag if I want. This is a pocket I could put on the bag. Again, I stamped the flower. I'm pretty sure this was with Highland Heather. I think the one on the bag was Gorgeous Grape. I know that I used Highland Heather for this tie. All I used was this stamp here over the top of the little scarf tie to give it some interesting texture. I've got a little tag. This one I actually used Coastal Cabana ink on it. The water bottle comes with a separate handle. I glued it at the bottom but left the top loose so I could hang it around something if I wished. This one I used Lost Lagoon. You can see I stamped this with the little water drop stamp to show this was a water bottle. I inked the whole thing really lightly with Lost Lagoon, but at the top and for the handle, I added more layers to make it darker, just to add some contrast. Here's a little tube of sunscreen. I stamped the little sun on it. Once again, it's right here in the stamp set. Again, I chose to add a little bit more color at the top to color the cap yellow. And here's a bottle of lotion. This time I used Peach Pie, which is one of the 2024 to 2026 in colors. And this time I used this stamp to give a bit of texture on the bottle. And once again I inked the bottle, and inked more darkly at the top. I made the two little sea creatures. I used Pretty in Pink to ink this one. That's also one of the 2024 to 2026 in colors. And I again used Peach Pie to color the starfish. And then I have the sunglasses. For the background piece, I just went over it really, really lightly with black ink. And I again used Highland Heather around the glasses themselves. So those are my pieces, and I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to put them together yet, but let's just go ahead and take a stab at it. This little handle piece on the water bottle could be glued at the top as well, but since I left the top part of it loose, I have the option of hanging it around the tote handle. So I'm still thinking about that. Today, because I knew I'd be using a lot of little pieces, I decided to try Stampin' Up's fine tip glue pen. It comes with a little pin in the top that keeps the tip open when the bottle is screwed closed. It gives me a fine tip that I can use to add my glue. I like that it's liquid glue because it gives me some wiggle room as I do these. I decided I want to go ahead and add these on the sides, and I think I want them just under the piece I just added. Yay for wiggle room. So let me quickly get some glue. I got a bit more than I wanted, so I'll just use the excess on the second piece. I'll set this other piece down so I can just go ahead and pick this corner up. There's number one. And there's the last one. And now I need a little more glue here because it's dried out a bit. Now I want to bring in the pocket. I think I'll extend the pocket down a little bit so I have plenty of room for my handle. Once again, I'll use the glue. And there's that. It looks like I got a little excess glue. Let's quickly take care of that. Okay, now do I want to use that handle or this handle? I think I'm going to use this handle this time. I'll glue that in place. Now these edges will be folded back like that. All right. Do I want to add these little embellishments right here or at the top of the pocket? Or at the top of the bag? Oh, I kind of like them there. Let's do that. This set is so much fun to play with. They've included so many different pieces so that each tote you make can be different. Of course, you can make them different using different materials, but it's fun to have different kinds of embellishments for it as well. Oh, come on, I should have used my Take Your Pick tool. It would have made life easier. That should have been over a little bit more, but it's fine. I think that's all I want to do with my tote. I could add these somehow. That makes kind of a nice touch there. Actually, I think I'll do that. Okay, I've put my pieces together. Now what will I do with them? In this case, the pieces are kind of beachy, so a beach scene would be nice. I started going through paper packs that had been partially used to see if there were scraps that would work well for beach. I found this in a set called Winter Meadow and thought it would work really well for a sandy shore. Then I found this piece from the Utterly Adorable set that definitely looks like water. I just tore this off, just irregular tearing. I thought the torn white edge would look like foam coming into the beach. And I needed to decide how far up I want my shoreline to be. I know I want the water fairly high up on the card because I need room on the beach for my tote, etc. You remember back to our lesson on the rule of thirds? I don't have my template handy, but I'd like to have the shore approximately 2/3 and the water 1/3. So I'll go ahead and trim off the excess from the back. Right about there is where I want that trimmed. I'll just quickly bring in my trimmer and cut that piece. So if I put the water like that, yeah, that makes a nice little beach background. I'll go ahead and glue that in place and be right back. Now what I'm thinking is that I'll put my bag right here in the foreground. And I was thinking to put the fence pieces toward the back. But these are bigger than I want, so I'm actually going to chop them a little bit smaller. Uh-oh, I lost a piece at the top. Oh well, that just makes it look a little more weathered, which is actually what I was going for. In fact, I'll cut this a little less straight here, so it looks more weathered as well. I'll just add the little fence pieces. Once again, this cross piece needs to be shorter. Let's see what happens now. If I have the fence here, and I have the tote over here, okay, I think I like that. I'm going to go ahead and glue those in place, though I think I want the fence a little wonky. It's a weathered fence on the beach after all. I'll be right back. I've glued the fence. Now I'll glue the bag in place, just on these side flaps, and I think a little along the bottom edge, so I can easily slip things into the bag. All right, this is going to be a message for my recipient. I've got this water bottle that I could hang off the handle. If I'm going to use it, I'll want it on this side since I have that there. I don't know, maybe I'll just have it sitting here in front. And I've got some lotion. I have a little shell here and a little starfish. I want to slip them behind there. And I have this tie. I have the glasses. I don't know, something like that. I'll go glue things in place and be right back. So here is the finished card. This is loose because I want to put a note on it, just something fun for my recipient to find. I decided to put a little greeting there. Again, that stamp is in the stamp set. And then on the inside, I added these scraps. I just want to make sure you're familiar with how paper tearing works. If you pull up toward yourself, you'll get a white edge like this. If you pull it away from you, you get a torn edge without the white. And that's what I wanted at the top edge here. So that's how I did the inside, and there is my finished card, starting from the stamp and die set. Now for card number 2. This is my next step in getting familiar with a new die set. After cutting all my pieces with white, like I did for the last card, I look for some patterned paper that might work well. I chose this patterned paper for my tote, from the lovely garden paper. I've just about used that up, but I had enough for my tote. I decided I'd want some of the coordinating pieces to be done in yellow and some in white, so that's what I've done. I've die cut most of the pieces. I haven't stamped anything yet. I haven't figured out exactly how I want to put everything together, but I have the pieces die cut. Now these little pieces came from the inside of the glasses. I think I also cut them out of white in case I want to use the white for the backing of my glasses. I'm just getting all my pieces organized here so I can see what I've got. I definitely think that I want to accentuate these fold lines because they're not that visible. I could come in with a really light lemon lolly ink, but I'm just afraid I'll get too much, so I'll definitely want to bring these in to accentuate the lines. I figured I'd again use this bottom piece. And I guess I must have decided I'd use this handle because it's the only one I have available. For my lotion, I cut 2. I actually cut it 3 times, just a little bit of the top the 3rd time to make the top of this bottle. I figured I could stamp on the white or ink it to make that lotion bottle. So I have these pieces and I just need to decide how I'll use them. I really thought it would be nice to have the hearts on the pockets. Honestly, I think I want to use the other handle, so I'll go cut that out and be right back. Off camera, I cut the other handle. I also decided I wanted my water bottle to be green, so I cut it from white and green, stamped it with a couple of the stamps. The dotted stamps I stamped first on my scratch paper, and then used second-generation stamping on my water bottle. Then I used first-generation stamping for the water drops. As I'm looking at that, I think I want to come in with my garden green ink. I don't like the way those spots turned out on the lid. I didn't mean to get them there, and when I accidentally did, I added more and it just made it worse. So I'll just darken up the lid a bit to hide those. Now I'll use lemon lolly to color the lotion bottle. I'll start by coloring the lid and pump part, and then bringing just a touch of it around the edge. Then I'm going to bring in the flower stamp, and I'll just figure out where I want to stamp them. I don't really want them on the lid. I'll hold it for just a few seconds so the ink will transfer. And there's my lotion bottle. And then I thought I'd bring in the Daffodil Delight to add color to the sunscreen tube. I'm coloring the top and bottom, and then putting just a hair on the sides. And then, no, I don't want to put the ink away yet. I want to bring in my sun stamp and figure out where I want to put that. I think I'll put it right about there. Okay, there's that piece. I keep looking at this lotion bottle. I'm thinking that while I like this, I wish I had a really, really light green background. I don't know if I can do that without making a big mess, but hey, it's just cardstock. I can always come in and do something else if I need to. I don't know, it was just starting to feel like too much yellow. Actually, I think I'm going to bring that flower stamp back in with the green. I'll do second generation stamping again for my tie. Now I've got a bit more green. Oh, I still have my little magazine to go in the tote. I think I'll hit it with a bit of green as well. I want to add a little more ink. Oh, I don't have my scratch paper down. So as I was saying, I want to add a little more ink right along this edge, along the spine of the magazine. I probably would have done better to use my markers for this. Anyway, that's my magazine. I'll just add a bit more color. I'll come in and stamp with, let's see, what did I use on the last one? I think I used the exclusive made just for you, so I think this time I'll use the news flash. And I'll get my black ink. I can tell my ink pad is not as juicy as it could be. Takes a bit to ink it up. Okay, there's my little magazine, and I can either put a picture or an image of some kind there, or I can write a little message. So I think I have my pieces, but I'm thinking about the yellow ones. I'm thinking of them as sort of a faux leather, and I thought maybe just bringing in a bit of the yellow. I'll try it on the handle that I don't plan to use, so I can see if I like it. Yes, I think I'll do that. So for all of my faux leather pieces, including these little pieces in case I use them, I'll add a little bit of ink off camera. Then I'll quickly glue my bag together and be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I'm going to start figuring out how to put this together. Off camera, I put the bag together. You can see I used the other handle. I put these little triangular pieces down here at the bottom this time. I put these hearts on the pocket and put this little piece here to look a bit like a clasp on the pocket. I thought it would be nice to start with a green card base this time, but I'll have a couple of white panels inside and out. I forgot to cut those. I'll cut them to 4 by 5 1/4 and I'll be right back. Let's see how that works. I'm thinking if I stamp a message there and have this here, I could stamp my message in green and have these pieces here. Have that there maybe. Oh, I never glued the glasses together. I'll have to do that. I do like hanging the glasses off the pocket. My flowered bottle will go on the inside of the card. I'll set the rest of the pieces aside for now and look at this. So what sentiment? I like the one they have in here that says, "Sending warm wishes." It's fairly big. Can I get away with that? If I put the message there and bring this down, if I put it in an angle there, I think that will work. I'm going to go ahead and do that, stamping it at an angle. Now I wonder about my background. I think I've got two choices. I could use that dotted stamp to add green to the background the same way I did on my water bottle, or I could use an embossing folder to add texture. I think because my water bottle would match the dotted stuff, I'll go ahead and emboss this piece off camera and be right back. I used the Soft Waves 3D embossing folder. I love that embossing folder. One of the things I like about it is because it's 6 by 6 in size, I can put my cardstock in either landscape or portrait style and have the waves going the way I want them to. So anyway, I'll glue that down. And now I'll start figuring this out. I meant to glue these glasses together off camera, but I'll just quickly do it here using my precision glue bottle. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece to the pocket. I'd like it to kind of hang from the pocket. I think it's just a fun little touch. I think I want to ink the edges of this scarf tie as well, just to give it a bit better definition. You see, I have to kind of move the one piece out of the way a little to get to the rest. There, doesn't that look better? I don't have any markers here right now, but I think I may come back in with a marker and just give some definition to that knot. It's a little harder to do that with this foam tool. I think I'll just put this here. Which angle do I like best? I guess I like it facing this way because of the sentiment. I think I'll go ahead and glue the tote to the card front, gluing the tabs on 3 sides. I want to make sure that the little pieces will be hidden, and it looks like they will. I want to make sure I don't extend the corner of the tote beyond the edge of the card, and I need to get rid of a smidge of glue. Let's try these other pieces and figure out what I'm going to do. I like the idea of that one there. Oh, I don't know. I wish I hadn't glued the glasses down. They'd have been better sticking out of the top of the tote this time. And since they're yellow, they're not showing up well where they are. Anyway, I'll glue them something like that and be back with the finished card, including the inside of it. Here's my finished card. And this is what I did on the inside. Just a green strip and that lotion bottle. And now for project 3, which is not a card at all. I'll just get all my pieces out. You'll notice I have some tea bags there. There's a reason for that. One of the fun things about this die set is that it's actually designed so that if you cut 2 of the tote bag pieces, you can make it into a 3D gift tote. I'm going to go ahead and put that together. I've already glued this piece on there and that piece on there. First, I'll glue this tab behind the other. We want to be really sparing with the glue because this is a fun foil paper and we don't want to get glue all over it. This paper is from an older pack called Splendid Day. The foiled side is so pretty it's hard to decide to cut into the paper. I decided this gift project was just the thing. I'm going to put just a touch of glue on these 2 little tabs and glue them in place. Then we'll finish by putting glue on the side tabs and gluing those pieces together. Same on this side, just glue the one tab over the other. And there is my little tote. Now I thought with this particular paper that any decorating I did would probably be best using white cardstock. This paper has a really elegant vibe, and we don't want to change that. I went ahead and cut 2 of the handles, figuring I could put one on each side. I'll go ahead and put those on. There we have that. I'm trying to center it from side to side and get the stitching line up near the top. And then I'll do this side. This set is just so much fun to work with. There are so many things you can do. You could make it like a diaper bag by putting baby things in it, or a travel tote by putting travel type stuff in it. You could even use it as a wedding favor. You can dress it up really elegant or make it as casual as you like based on the materials you choose. So many fun ways to use it. So there's the basis of my tote. I don't think adding any of these other pieces will add to it. I really like the simple elegance of just having the white handles. So, that's what the tea bags are for. I figured I could give it as a little gift with tea in it. I had thought maybe to use some tissue paper with them, but I think I like it just the way it is. I could take this little magazine. In fact, I think that would be a good idea. I'm going to use the same stamp I used before, the one that says "Newsflash, you're fabulous." I'll go ahead and stamp it on there, and then I'll write a little message and just have it tucked in there to go with my little tea tote. And here are my 3 projects I made with Notes and Totes Stamp and Die Bundle. It's so much fun to play with. We have 3 very different looks, all from the same Stamp and Die set. And now for the close-ups. I do hope you've enjoyed this process video. As always, as an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to have you choose me, Cheryl Manley, as your demonstrator when you make purchases from Stampin' Up! I would earn a small commission on any purchases you make, but that would not affect your price. It would simply help cover my costs and time for making these videos. Please remember to click that thumbs up, leave me a comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so.